Hi, Barbara. How are you?
Hi, James. I'm fine, and you?
Tell me, so has winter settled in Miami?
Yes, it has. It was down in the 40s last night.
Oh my,
Ooh,
yeah,
that's cold for Miami.
yeah, that almost gets a little dangerous considering all of the crops that are in the area that could be affected by that. But I think it's got to drop to about 32 in order to really create a problem. But that's still pretty chilly for Miami.
Yes, it is.
You know, I know you have an exciting story for us, but the crew signaled me after the intro, and they said that perhaps I should say a little bit more about Rick Hopcraft. And I know that you and I have discussed that. I know that you heard about that tragic accident early on, and we are just now reporting on it. I didn't want to go into a lot of detail because some of the information we're not exactly sure about. But it was a result of a wounded buffalo that attacked, and that tragically led to the accident.
Yes, it's we all are reminded on occasions like this that it is a dangerous sport that we're involved in, and we need to be prepared at all times for things that can occur.
Right. Okay. Well, you know, again, our sympathies go out to the family and friends of both Rick and Tanina, which was the Maasai warrior who was also killed. I understand he was armed. Because this took place in Kenya, Rick, unfortunately, was not armed, and a government scout actually was the one who made the first shot on I say a wounded buffalo, but I think we're not sure how that buffalo became wounded. Something he had done to his leg, I guess. And unfortunately, that didn't result in the kind of ending that we normally hope for. So again, our sympathies go out to Rick and Tanina. And well, you know, Barbara, like you said, it is a very dangerous sport. Unfortunately, because it was Kenya, it gets a little more confusing in there since hunting is not allowed to begin with. And Rick was unarmed at the time because that's the way the laws read up there. He was not able to take a gun with him on this particular situation. So anyway, you have a story that fortunately does result in something happier. Tell us about what took place in Namibia.
Well, I'm sure you hear it often from first-time Africa hunters. One of the questions they ask is, do I need to worry about snakes? And those of us that have been to Africa numerous times usually say, nah, just be aware that they're out there, that you can come across one, be on alert, don't stick your hand in a hole, don't do things that will make you prone to being bitten. But for the most part, don't worry about it. Well, Hunting Report subscriber Mark Mills, on his 18th African safari, had an experience that will make all of us go into chills. He was hunting in Namibia, and this was the last day of his hunt. At the very end of his hunt, he was dead dog tired. He was climbing into bed early, went into his tent, and as he was getting into bed, pulling his leg up onto the bed, a cobra shot out from under his bed and bit him on the toe. Now, this is highly unusual, particularly because it was a spitting cobra, and these snakes typically will alert first and spit at its intended victim's eyes rather than bite. Biting is unusual, but here he is on his safari in the middle of the bush in Namibia, and he's been bitten by a cobra. He describes the next 3 hours as absolute agony as they drove him to Grootfontein, where he received an injection of anti-venom and was put under observation. The anti-venom stopped the pain and stopped the swelling, and he was able to get some sleep. But the next day, the swelling was back, and things were not looking good. And that's when he said, that's it. And he called Global Rescue. I've told viewers about Global Rescue in the past. Global Rescue is an emergency evacuation service and they work with Johns Hopkins University, and they immediately got him out of the bush and into Windhoek, where they took him to get treatment. What happened then was he had to have surgery because the flesh on his leg, on his foot, was starting to die. And they had to remove skin and flesh from his foot in order to save it. And that involved doing some skin grafts. Unfortunately, the skin grafts did not take properly, and the Global Rescue folks working with Johns Hopkins University doctors and the local clinicians in Windhoek determined that he needed more surgery, and they sent him back to the United States, where he had the skin graft redone. Fortunately, he is now off on his foot again, using crutches, and he's hobbling around with a hard cast on his foot, and he's recovering, but it's been a long, painful process from what he tells me. So just a warning to all of us, even the most experienced of us that have been to Africa, that have been out in the bush 100 times, and we take it for granted. This was a snake that somehow got into his tent. And we all know one of the safety precautions we're supposed to take is make sure your tent is always closed. And somehow this little booger got in there and got him. So everybody be very, very alert, very careful.
You know, there
my
are some,
advice, get Global Rescue.
Yeah, you know, Barbara, there are many stories about snakes in Africa, and there are a few harmless ones, by the way. But for the majority of the times, some of the ones that they have that are very deadly, and certainly the mamba is the first one that comes to mind. But you know, I think this is a good opportunity, and I don't really want to make a commercial here for Global Rescue, but I think it's a wonderful organization. And, you know, hunters, for the most part, try to go to places, in the United States even, where services are not available. And even though none of us like to think about insurance, hunters in particular need to sort of be aware that things can go wrong, even in this country. I mean, rattlesnake bites, broken legs, I mean, things like that. And you're a long distance from a hospital. And I just think that we should take a minute and say something about Global Rescue, because that is an organization that is well led. And it is one of those organizations where every hunter should be somehow involved. It's very inexpensive, and I just think it's a fine organization.
Well, I would not recommend them to my subscribers or to other hunters if I did not believe in them myself. And I am a member of Global Rescue. I carry their card in my pocket whenever I go to remote places, because you never know what could happen. You could get bitten by a scorpion. You can get bitten by a snake. You can fall down, slide down a mountainside, and break your back or break your pelvis. And Global Rescue, the service that they provide is they will come get you.
You could flip over on your ATV, right?
Right. Right.
Go ahead. I had to say I had to say that, Barbara. I just had to say it. Go ahead.
But yes, we go to remote places. We put ourselves in harm's way when we go on these hunting trips, and it just doesn't make sense to go out there and not be prepared for the possibility of being injured and needing someone who can come get you. And that's what sets Global Rescue apart from all those other medical evacuation services. If you fall down a mountain and you break your back and you cannot get yourself out to a tarmac or to a hospital, they will come get you where you are. They work with the finest physicians in the business, and they are run by the guys that come to rescue you. These are former Navy SEALs, former Army Rangers. These are the best of the best. They know what they're doing, and they're chop about it.
Yeah.
In addition to their medical evacuation service, they also provide a wonderful emergency evacuation service that will kick in, for instance, if you're somewhere and civil war breaks out, or there's a terrorist attack, and you need somebody to come get you out. They can do that, and they have done it successfully. They successfully evacuated people from Mumbai when Mumbai was under those terrorist attacks a couple of years ago. They successfully evacuated a family that was visiting their family in Lebanon when there was the conflict between the Lebanese and the Israelis, and the Israelis were bombing Lebanon. And they extracted that family successfully. So this is what they specialize at.
Yeah, Barbara, I actually, several years ago, well, many years ago, actually, we were hunting in Africa, and an adjoining country was having a revolution, and we had to hire some ex-military out of South Africa to actually accompany us on that safari. And this was before global rescue had come into the picture. So you're very right. Anything could happen besides an injury in a foreign country where you never really know what might go wrong and you need to leave immediately.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely correct. And I recommend Global Rescue to all my subscribers whenever they're traveling more than a few hundred miles away from home, if they're going anywhere remote. And everybody, it's Christmas season, and a membership to Global Rescue is a wonderful gift for someone you love that you know travels around the world.
Yeah.
You can get a combination of the medical evacuation along with the emergency evacuation. You can get a membership for your entire family. You can get memberships that are for specific periods. They're very flexible, very easy to work with, very reliable. And you can learn more about them by coming to the Hunting Report website at www.huntingreport.com and just click on the Global Rescue logo that you'll find on our homepage at the top of the homepage there. They're offering special memberships right now for Christmas, and I can't urge you enough to look into that as a gift for the hunter or traveler in your life.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, and thank you for that, and thank you, Global Rescue, and I assume now the hunter is home and okay?
He is home. He is recovering. He's on crutches, hobbling around, but he is doing much better than he was when he first got here. So he's on the way to a full recovery.
Excellent.
And needless to say, he will never go anywhere without a Global Rescue card in his back pocket.
Yeah, excellent report, Barbara. Thank you very much. See you again next week.
All right. See you next week, everyone.